foreign stories, Jacinda Ardern is quitting as New Zealand Prime Minister ahead of this year's election, saying she no longer has enough in the tank to lead. The shock announcement comes as polling indicates her Labour Party faces a difficult path to re-election on 14th October. Ms. Ardern chalked up as she detailed how 6 challenging years in the job had taken a toll. Labour MPs will vote to find her replacement on Sunday. Ms. Ardern, 42, said she had taken time to consider her future over the summer break, hoping to find the heart and energy to go on in the role. Ms. Ardern will step down on 7 February. If no would-be successor garners the support of 2/3 of the party, the vote will go to Labour's lay leadership. Ms. Ardern became the youngest female head of government in the world when she was elected Prime Minister in 2017, aged just 37. And a year later, she became the second elected world leader to ever give birth while in office, after Pakistan's Benazir Bhutto in 1990. She steered New Zealand through the COVID-19 pandemic and its ensuing recession, the Christchurch mosque shootings, and the White Island violent volcanic eruption. And Germany will only send battle tanks to Ukraine if the United States does the same, multiple reports suggest. Chancellor Olaf Scholz is under increasing international and domestic pressure to supply German-built Leopard 2 tanks, or at least approve their delivery by third parties. Poland and Finland have also promised to send their Leopards, but need Germany's permission to do so. But Berlin is still in talks with the United States about its official position. Many expect an announcement to follow a meeting of Ukraine's Western allies at the American military base of Ramstein in southwestern Germany tomorrow. Reports suggest that Mr. Scholz will only give the green light to the Leopards if the US President Joe Biden agrees to supply American Abrams tanks. However, the Pentagon's top security advisor, Colin Kahl, said late on Thursday that the United States has not prepared itself to meet Kyiv's demands for the tanks. The provision of Western battle tanks in sufficient numbers is widely seen as crucial if Ukraine is to defeat Russia, or at the very least, defend itself against Russian President Vladimir Putin's anticipated spring offensive. And in a quick look at our main news stories once more, Parliament resolves to investigate National Social Security Fund. The death toll rises to 6 in Barra City accidents as victims are identified. From across the seas, New Zealand's Prime Minister quits, citing burnout, and German tanks for Ukraine will depend on the United States' approval. Thank you for joining us here on UBC Radio News. Back to Hawa Mudondo for the rest of News Hour.
Thank you, Rachel. News Hour continues shortly after this break.
This is Independent Sound.
UBC has 11 sister radio stations spread throughout the country to educate, inform, and entertain. Tune in to UBC Radio FM 98, your national radio station, Magic 100, where sports and music is our life. 87.5 Star FM in Uganda, 97.4 UBC West covering Western Uganda, 102 Mega FM in Gulu, 97 FM Butebo Radio in Eastern Uganda, 107.0 Buludi FM, 100.5 Ngea FM in Kasese, 98.0 West Nile FM in Arua, Total Ray Radio FM 90 in Karamoja, and 93.0 Voice of Mundbujo. Now you're covered in your local language. UBC Radios, inspiring Uganda.
You're still listening to News Hour, the epitome of professionally done, well-researched news items. This is News Hour.
Welcome back. We are glad you're still tuned to News Hour on UBC Radio with me, Hawa Mdondo, and my producer, Henry Baguma. On to our first story, the long-awaited crude oil construction works have finally been approved by the Cabinet. According to the Minister of State for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, the 296-kilometer crude oil pipeline will stretch from Hoima to Tanzania. He also said East African Crude Oil Company has been licensed to undertake the construction works that start this November 2023 and are expected to be complete in 2025. Sarah Natoro has the story.
The the East African Crude Oil Company has been licensed to undertake construction works of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline. The project that stretches from Hoima to the port of Tanga in Tanzania is expected to cost $5 billion US. The works will commence in November 2023 and be completed in the first quarter of 2025. Since the discovery of oil in 2006, there have been a number of project undertakings by the government in preparation for the commercialization of Uganda's petroleum resources. One of the current ones in the construction of the crude oil pipeline from the Albertine region to Tanga in Tanzania. The East African Crude Oil Pipeline is 1,443 kilometers long, and outside of these, 296 kilometers are in Uganda. Cabinet has now approved the application of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company Limited to undertake the construction works. As the Minister of State for Information, Communication, Technology and National Guidance, Geoffrey Kabyanga, explains.
Cabinet approved an application by the East African Pipeline Oil of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company Limited for a license to construct the East African Crude Oil Pipeline with the following benefits: commitment of both the governments of the Republic of Tanzania and Uganda to develop the ECOP project, promoting transparency and sustainability between the countries, demonstrating joint commitment to develop the project in a harmonized manner.
Construction of the crude oil pipeline is worth billions of US, as Engineer Herbert Mugizi, Principal Engineer, Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, explains.
The East African Crude Oil Pipeline runs for about 1,422.8 kilometers from Hoima up to Chongliani near the port of Tanzania. To be specific, the approval relates to 296 kilometers that are within the Ugandan territory, and that runs from Hoima up to the border in Mutukula, crossing about 171 villages and 10 districts. And the districts are Hoima, Chikube, Kakumiro, Chankwanzi, Mubende, we go to Gomba, Zimbabwe, Luengo, Rakai, and Chotera. Following the approval of this application for issuance of a license to construct the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, that means the company now will legally be able to start the development and actual construction of the pipeline. The land acquisition for the pipeline within Uganda, we've compensated close to 68% of the project affected persons. And we expect that in the coming months, we should be able to come to the number close to the 90s. Of course, there are some challenges with the land acquisition, contestation of valuations by the project affected persons, which we address case by case. There are issues of estates of the deceased persons, which need letters of administration. This is a very elaborate and long process, but the project at its own cost is supporting these families to acquire these letters of administration so that we have to pay the right persons. So we expect that with all that, we should be able to have the corridor and start construction, which many people will call actual construction, of seeing the bulldozers and excavation in the later part of this year.
This project, whose construction is expected to begin late this year and will be expected to end in the first quarter of 2025, will affect 171 villages in 10 Ugandan districts.
The completion date, we expect that these pipelines should be up and running given the first quarter of 2025. Next week, probably they will start the first well in Kingfisher. There's another rig being rigged up in the Tilenga area. 2 other rigs are expected in the country in March and April.
Engineer Herbert Mugizi, Principal Engineer, Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, on the East African Crude Oil Pipeline construction project, which is to commence in November 2023 after being approved by the Cabinet. For News Hour, Sarah Natolo reporting.
Thank you, Sarah. Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Beta Mongi, has presented a statement to Parliament regarding the operations and management of Social Security Fund. The statement follows several complaints and contradictions over the management and operations of the Workers' Fund.
This is my statement in respect to the emerging issues that has been going on in the press. The over 20 cases by employees are in court against NSSF, seeking recovery from NSSF their money not remitted by their employers. Again, NSSF gave me a brief that there are people who are going to court and saying, it is your mandate to enforce collection of my money. Since you have not collected my money, I am taking you, NSSF, to court. You are the one to pay because you failed to collect on my behalf. Those who are employed generally, only 48% had the 5 and above. Now, with the new law, 52% needed to be brought on board under the new law in the formal sector, far higher than what was covered under the previous law. As a political supervisor, I directed the board to examine the following options in a bid to achieve the strategic objectives outlined above. Number 1, I asked them to establish an online system for whistleblowers to report non-compliance. Employers don't deduct and do not remit contribution. People can call and report. This intervention is important because compliance at the moment stands at only 51%. The management was tasked to come with those activities and they presented it to the board and myself. And this presentation was led by the then Managing Director, Mr. Richard Biarogaba, his deputy and 2 other technical team. And they gave a detailed roadmap and work plan that will constitute the activities under NSSF under the 6 billion. State that the 6 billion budget I approve is appropriated under the NSSF operations budget for financial year 2022-2023. And the work plan has been presented to me by the board and management, as already stated, on 25th November 2022, that the activities are NSSF, not that of Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. As a minister, I don't have mandate to approve the budget of Ministry of Gender. I have the legal mandate to approve the budget of NSSF. These activities will be undertaken by NSSF in partnership with relevant entities, be it government agency or private sector players.
Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Beta Mongi, speaking in Parliament. The Uganda Blood Transfusion Services, UBTS, have cited constant concerns of illegal blood sales as some of the reasons given by some possible blood donors for evading blood donation. Catherine Nambi has the details.
Michael Mukundane, the coordinator for the National Blood Bank, said despite increased awareness and changing blood collection strategy from mainly targeting schools, they continue to face sporadic shortages and can't fully hit their annual targets. He says that they have now embarked on forming several partnerships, including involving cultural leaders to rally people to donate. Mukundane says in addition to labeling the essential health commodity known for sale, they are rallying people to report such incidents. He says culprits will be prosecuted as this is an act of corruption.
Blood is not for sale. We also write on the blood bags that blood is not for sale. We also have campaign posters written on blood is not for sale. We have car stickers. We keep telling people, even on donation, we tell people that you donate blood and blood is not for sale. We keep getting those questions. We keep getting those complaints of alleged blood sale. But you know, corruption, just blood is like any other drug now. It's among the essential drugs. And like you see people sell Panadol in government hospitals. But you know, health services in government facilities are free. It is an act of corruption, and if caught, you are liable to prosecution. Yeah, it's a vice that is there.
Mukundane says that they collected over 80% of their blood collection targets for 2021, but the demand for blood started increasing in November when there was a sudden surge in malaria, in addition to an increasing rate of road traffic accidents, where a lot of people needed to be transfused. Annually, the blood bank targets to collect 450,000 units of blood, but according to experts, it needs to be revised considering the high and growing need. According to the World Health Organization, countries need to collect blood from the equivalent of 3 to 5% of their populations yearly to maintain an adequate blood supply. For Uganda, with a population estimated at 47 million people, the optimum supply would then be 2,350,000 units. Osbert Serugo, the Uganda Red Cross Society manager for Kampala, says that this target is attainable once people's mindsets are changed. He says, as the entity that works together with the blood bank, they have tried to ensure that all deterrents are sorted, but the issue of blood sale allegations has persisted. Serugo says he has conducted a personal investigation but hasn't seen anyone come out to pin a health worker for selling them blood.
We have tried for years and we have never got anyone. Much as people keep on giving the same excuses, complaints, but we have not seen anyone coming us to tell us that you see, this doctor was asking us some money for blood. Last weekend I was in Mlago for almost 1 week, and I made sure that I wasn't in any Red Cross verification thing. I tried to ask around, but I was like, that different people I could meet. But I usually hear people ask for money for blood. Do you have any cases around? For 1 week, I couldn't see anyone.
Over the years, the Uganda Blood Transfusion Service has been aiming to increase the number of consistent blood donors and has since started conducting campaigns to canvass blood in order to cater for the increased blood needs. But the entity only has around 90,000 registered donors. Samuel Davis Wante, the blood collection clinical team leader at the Nakasero Blood Bank, says while generally the biggest consumers of blood are people battling cancer, mothers with pregnancy-related problems or at delivery, and children with severe malaria and malnutrition, accident victims are also now ranking among the highest. For News Hour, I am Catherine Nam.
Thank you, Nambi. Government has triggered stringent amendments to repeal the current Foreign Exchange Act of 2004 to streamline governance and eliminate financial sector barriers. Kathy Shimwe has the details in this report.
Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2022 seeks to provide for the enhancement of the minimum capital requirements for the operation of forex bureaus and other money remittance companies operating in the country. It also provides for the use of technology in the operations of the levying of administrative penalties and strengthening of the vetting requirements for the directors and managers of foreign exchange and money remittance businesses. The proposed draft of the bill, which was passed by Cabinet on Monday this week, seeks to harmonize the regulatory regime and supervision of the financial sector aligned to the East African Community EAC bloc legal instruments. Henry Musasizi, the State Minister of Finance in charge of general duties, says that the proposed bill seeks to increase the minimum capital requirement for forex bureaus from 20 million shillings to 50 million shillings, while for money remittance business from 50 million shillings to 200 million shillings.
In summary, we propose to amend a section on minimum capital requirements by increasing the capital requirement for forex bureaus from 20 million shillings to 50 million shillings, and for money remittance business from 50 million Uganda shillings to 200 million Uganda shillings. And this is intended to strengthen our financial sector.
Musasizi explained that the bill proposes a minimum of 2 or more people as shareholders to start a foreign exchange business for proper governance. It will repeal the current provisions of the Companies Act 2012 that requires a single person to register and start his or her own company.
The Companies Act provides that even a single person can start a company. But for foreign exchange business, for good governance, we need to provide for a minimum of 2 shareholders. In other words, we move from the provisions of the Companies Act, where even a single individual can start a company. Here we are saying, because of the governance issues involved, at least we should have 2 or more people starting a forex bureau or a money remittance business.
Further, the bill introduces 50 million shillings security deposit before one operates a money remittance business and 25 million shillings for forex bureaus, a move aimed at controlling fraud in the sector.
Why we think this is important is because when disputes arise, we have cases of complaints, discipline, and also fraud. When they arise, sometimes the regulator has not been having a mechanism of how the compensation can be settled, and we think this will give a very good remedy for that challenge.
As opposed to the current provisions of the Foreign Act 2004 that provides renewal of licenses after 12 months, the bill proposes a new provision that allows licenses of money business operators to remain valid after coming into force until it is otherwise revoked or suspended. If the bill becomes law, forex bureaus and money remittance entities will have to file regular returns like other businesses in the country. The amendment will enhance the regulator's power to enforce compliance, to improve the capacity of the licensed foreign exchange bureaus and money remittance business to survive capital depletion. The minister is expected to present the draft bill to Parliament for first reading any time from now before it is referred to the Line Committee of Finance for further scrutiny. After passing the committee's scrutiny, the proposed bill will be bounced back to the floor for the second reading and subsequently transmitted by the Speaker to the President for assent. Reporting for News Hour, I am Ishimye Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. Uganda Human Rights Commission has established the status of National Inter-Platform Alleged Missing Persons following a request to follow it up by NUP leaders. Upon persistent claims that thousands of National Inter-Platform Party supporters had been kidnapped and disappeared, Uganda Human Rights Commission wrote to NUP requesting for information of persons alleged to be missing. The chairperson, Uganda Human Rights Commission, Mariam Wangadia, says the commission started with contacting the next of kin of the alleged persons to obtain better particulars concerning the circumstances of their arrest. Addressing the media at the commission headquarters in Kampala, the chairperson, Uganda Human Rights Commission, Mariam Wangadia, said out of the 25 persons presented missing by National Inter-Platform, 7 were released in December 2022 and have since reunited with their families.
We immediately embarked on our investigation, which included starting with contacting the next of kin of the alleged missing persons in order to obtain further and better particulars concerning the circumstances of their arrest and whether or not they are still missing. From the investigation so far, we have established that out of the 25 persons provided, 7 were arrested but released in December last year and have since reunited with their families. The second people I'm talking about include Kavuma, Jamshid, Sonko Karuna, Batu, Ntale Charles, Abdu Bayani, Kabu, Godfrey Chirumira Mavin, Ahumuza Patrick, and Molene Steven.
According to Wangadia, out of the 7 persons released, 3 were charged with murder and are still honoring the police bond requirement, while 4 others were arraigned in court and charged with malicious damage of property.
Out of the 7 people, 3 were charged with murder and are still honoring their police bond requirements by reporting to Special Investigation Division at Chireka, while 4 were arraigned in court and charged with malicious damage to property. They were granted bail and currently live with their families. They were scheduled to report back to court on 17th of January this year. So these 7 people cannot be said to be missing, and we are in touch with them. We continue with our investigation to establish the whereabouts of the 17 people who are said to be missing.
The Commission has expressed commitment to investigate the whereabouts of alleged missing persons and asked for cooperation from the public. Moving on, all now is set for NRM Day and Tarehe Sita Day celebrations within the coming days. NRM Day will be celebrated on January 26th in Kakumiro, while Tarehe Sita festivities will be in Greater Mbarara on February 6th. But how significant are these celebrations? This is the question Henry Baguma put to the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Vincent Sempija.
As Ugandans,
we must know where we came from, and we must know where we are today, and we must always try to forge where we want to go, where we want to be. It has been a struggle from negatives. Everything was negative to this time when we are talking about positives, when we are talking about in some areas surplus of productions, of products after our, So we really need to talk about the NRMD. It's very important that people know that we are not here by accident. We have not achieved what we have achieved by accident. It has been a struggle. Some people have sacrificed. Our leaders have been very committed to changing our situation up to what we have today.
Yes, that's it. And what about the UPDF Day? That is Tare Sita. How important is this, you as Minister of Defense?
You know, the name is very clear, Uganda People's Defense Forces. This is, since we come from the people themselves, we have always to have a strong relationship and a strong hold of the masses. We need to be together, and they have to know that the army is theirs. The UPDF is their own. And again, of course, we save on the little budget that we get to take back something to our people. So that is the time when we go back to the population, do some voluntary work there, and we remind the people that we are always subordinate to the civilian population, and also we are respectful of to these civilians, and also we are ready to support them and work with them, and also we need their support in our endeavors as a PDF.
Honourable Minister, assuming you had been asked to assess the army performance as you celebrate the day, 0 being the worst, 100 being the best, which mark would you give the UPDF and for what reason?
Yes, of course, UPDF surpasses in all spheres. In Africa, I think if one was fair enough, would say this is the best army in Africa, or even we have a place in the world even. When you look at the discipline of the army, the respect that the army has to the civilians, you can see it in what goes on every day. You see that UPDF is really a people's army. UPDF is patriotic. UPDF, whatever we do, look at all of these scenarios. Look at all what we do. Especially, you have known about the engineering brigade. Everybody now wants the engineering brigade to do the public work. You have seen NEC. You have seen all of these things. Whenever UPDF is, people feel safe. So really, I would say we can say 90%.
90%?
Yes.
Is the mark you give yourself?
Yes.
What message do you have for the people listening to you right now as you conclude?
Well, we are going to continue to, we have had a few mistakes here and there by individuals. But we want to assure Ugandans that when an UPDF officer or man and woman makes a mistake, UPDF does not condone these mistakes. That's why we have a court martial. That's why you have courts in all units, so that we check on the discipline of our soldiers. So let Ugandans be assured that UPDF will continue to be a disciplined army and a pro-people army.
Defense and Veteran Affairs Minister Vincent Sempija talking to Henry Baguma about the upcoming national celebrations. More than 1,000 evangelists are expected to grace the 46th commemoration of St. John and Rome in Kitgum district. From February 11th to 15th each year, evangelistic missions lead up to the commemoration of Bishop Rome Day on February 16th. The Electoral Commission has registered 577 new voters in Serere County ahead of next month's by-election, and Koboko LC5 councillors have decried the failure of the District Executive Committee to recover water pipes that went missing from the district headquarters under mysterious circumstances. Rachel Takali with more in the District News Wrap.
In the past, only about 100 evangelists, mainly from Uganda Christian University in Mukono, traveled to Muchwini to conduct door-to-door ministry from February 11th through 15th each year. The missions lead up to the commemoration of Bishop Luwum Day on February 16th. Now, Andrew Kilama, the vice chairperson of the local organizing committee for the 46th anniversary, says this year many more evangelists are expected, most of whom are coming from Lango sub-region, while a few others are from the West Nile sub-region. Kilama further explains that this will enable many locals to participate in the preaching aspect of commemorating St. Janani Luwum.
We used to have people from UCU, Christian University Mukono. They would come full bus, but that was that small section. Then this time we want to involve many more. We have now the Nadi and then West Nile guys, they are coming. The West Nile, they are bringing for us about 15 people. UCU, they have not yet confirmed to us how many they are bringing, but we believe in most cases they always bring for us a full bus. Now they are bringing for us 11 buses. 11 buses, when we distribute almost Gulumas get some people to go from door to door. So it will cover a very wide area. Something so great that we have never experienced, but this time it's going to happen in Kitgum.
Reverend Vincent Oloya, the mission coordinator at Kitgum Diocese, reveals that 1,039 people from Acholi, Lango and West Nile have confirmed that they will participate in this mission work. Reverend Oloya also says that of these, 100 people are expected to come from Gulu, 264 from West Lango Diocese, at least 600 from Lango Diocese, and 15 from West Nile. Meanwhile, Reverend Canon Patrick Obonyo, the diocesan secretary of Kitgum Diocese, says they decided to have many more preachers of the gospel from all the 10 archdeaconries, because religion is the essence of celebrating St. Janani Luwum, and it is proper to have as many people as possible converted to Christianity. Uganda celebrates the martyrdom of St. Janani Luwum annually on February 16th. This year's celebrations will be held under the theme United for Service and Growth, which is taken from Ephesians 4:11-16. From eastern Uganda, new voters were registered while updating the National Voters Register in Serere County last week. In the 2021 general elections, there were 74,464 registered voters in Serere County. Sylvia Cheptegei, the Serere District Returning Officer, says that 214 voters had their particulars transferred during the exercise.
We are now going to train the display officers who will be trained on Friday, on the 20th, and the display itself will kick off from 23rd of January 2023, and it will close on 1st of February 2023. Being that it's a by-election for a member of parliament takes only 60 days. The roadmap came out early. We managed mobilizing through our supervisors using the megaphones. We went for the talk show, which informed the people. They've been running the notices also on radio. The time we have is short. This exercise has to close by 23rd of February 2023.
Moses Olepus, the LC1 chairperson of Serere Center Cell in Serere Town County, says some residents missed the update because it was short.
Well, these people who wanted to register, actually to come and register and vote in our areas, like in the police station where I'm supposed to vote, they were not sensitized. People came later when I began telling them that you come, there is maybe if you want to transfer, you come. But now it was late; they were not able to make it. Now that they have not gotten transferred, they will not be able to vote on the 23rd. Maybe if electoral commission can specify with them, they maybe bring back this exercise for some 2-3 days, and we get this point from so that they also transfer themselves.
Now, John Michael Okure Odeke, the LC1 chairperson of Ajesa Cell, says they were vigilant in ensuring that only people within Serere registered or were transferred to other polling stations within the county. Their Serere County seat fell vacant after the death of Patrick Okabe following an accident last month. More than 5 people have shown interest in the race, including his son, Emmanuel Omoding, and seasoned politician Ali Salaso. According to the roadmap released by the Electoral Commission, The voters' register will be displayed starting on January 23rd to February 1st in all 38 polling stations in the county. Nomination of candidates will be conducted on February 9th and 10th, after which campaigns will run for 9 days from February 13th to 21st, 2023. And from West Nile, last May, at least 169 pipes and 173 pipe rods for boreholes vanished from the district headquarters, where they were stored following the rehabilitation of boreholes across the district. It was later discovered that the water pipes were taken by Francis Moki Maxwell, the Koboko LC5 Vice Chairperson, and Ibrahim Abbas, the Senior District Internal Auditor. Rasul Maliamungu, the Koboko District Works and Technical Services Secretary, says although his committee recommended recovery of the missing pipes from the implicated officials more than 6 months ago, no action has been taken by the District Executive Committee. According to Maliamungu, the two officers admitted to being responsible for the irregularity while appearing before a joint committee meeting held on June 24th, 2022.
Following the report on the loss of 169 pipes and their rods, which is 173 in number, involving some of our big leaders at the district, more especially the leader of government business and the auditor, the committee recommended recovery from those persons responsible.
Fikira Stima Zulaika, the female councillor of Dranya and Lubule sub-counties, noted that they expect the executive committee to recover the missing pipes within the next 2 months.
When you look at local revenue, we face a lot of challenges when it comes to payment of our emolument. We take 3 months, 4 months, because the local revenue of Koboko district is really very challenging. And when we see things which would be valued and be used for paying us, it really pains us a lot. So we are demanding within 2 months, we need our pipes back.
Koboko LC5 Chairperson Ashraf Mambo says the issues before the District Executive Committee and appropriate action will be taken once the investigations are complete.
This issues are on the table, we are handling them, they will be brought. If it comes to do that, these things are supposed to be paid, the value will assess and give us a report, this is what we have. But as of now, nobody is a thief.
That's your country news wrap. For UBC News Hour, I am Rachel Takari.
Thank you, Rachel. South Africa is likely to run out of chicken amidst power cuts, and a second hideout used by Italy's most wanted mobster discovered. Details of these stories and many more in this foreign news wrap by Catherine Nambi.
From South Africa, the country may face severe chicken shortages as a result of the power crisis that is affecting the slaughtering of the chickens, a poultry association has warned. The South African Poultry Association, SAPA, says it has had to reduce the number of chickens slaughtered, with abattoirs unable to keep up because of the power cuts. Local media quote SAPA as saying that it also had to cull 10 million chicks in the past weeks. Some franchises, such as KFC, are reportedly already feeling the impact, with the situation likely to get worse. It comes amid a warning that the issue could become a long-term problem affecting retail and wholesale markets. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, a UN spokesperson, Fahan Haq, has said that the international body wants the perpetrators of killings in the DRC to be brought to justice after it confirmed the discovery of 2 mass graves in the Ituri province in the east of the country. The UN says they found bodies of some 42 people, including 12 women and 6 children, in Nyamamba village, and then bodies of 7 men in Mbogi village, about 30 kilometers east of the city of Bunia. There has been suggestion linking the deaths to the Codeco militia group, but Haq said that cannot be confirmed and further investigations would be needed. He also added that the UN is conducting patrols in the area and supporting DR Congo's military. Africa aside, in China, at least 8 people have been killed in an avalanche that struck a tunnel exit near the southeastern Tibetan city of Nyingich. Many cars were overturned by the avalanche, which left the road covered in snow, a local resident who joined the rescue effort told local media. It is unclear how many people are missing. Hundreds of rescuers and 30 large machines are searching the scene. Avalanches happen frequently in the mountainous region. The avalanche happened on a highway connecting the town in Mainling County and Medoc County in Tibet, a remote and mainly Buddhist region in western China. With an average elevation of about 3,100 meters above sea level, Nyingich is a popular travel destination. And finally, in Italy, a second hideout used by the most wanted mobster, Matteo Messina Denaro, has been discovered at the back of a wardrobe with a sliding base. Italian police said jewelry, gemstones, and silverware were found in the hidden chamber. Empty paper boxes were also found, suggesting that potentially revealing documents were cleared out after Messina Denaro was arrested on Monday. He had been attending a chemotherapy session at a private clinic in Sicily. Shortly after being apprehended, the mafia boss was taken to a prison in L'Aquila in the central Italian region of Abruzzo, where reports say he will continue to receive treatment for his cancer. Messina Denaro today declined to appear via video link at a hearing on the 1992 killings of judges Paolo Falcone and Giovanni Borsellino.